Released in 1987 with a budget of around $15 million, Predator was directed by John McTiernan and starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, and Jesse Ventura. The movie became one of the greatest action and sci fi classics of all time, blending intense jungle warfare with a terrifying alien hunter that audiences had never seen before. Before we begin, if you enjoy movie explanations and reviews, don't forget to follow the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's dive into the story. Deep inside the jungles of Central America, an unknown spacecraft quietly enters Earth's atmosphere and crashes somewhere far away. Nobody notices the strange arrival and life continues normally. Meanwhile, Major Alan Dutch Schaefer, a highly skilled Special Forces leader, arrives at a military base after successfully completing another dangerous mission. Dutch is a man respected by everyone around him because of his calm personality and unmatched leadership skills. Dutch is approached by his old friend and former teammate George Dillon, who now works for the CIA. Dillon tells him that an emergency situation has developed. A cabinet minister and his assistant have disappeared after their helicopter crashed somewhere in the jungle. Intelligence reports suggest that guerrilla fighters captured them and time is running out. Dillon asks Dutch to lead a rescue mission immediately. At first, Dutch refuses because he and his men specialize in extraction missions, not political operations. However, Dillon insists that innocent lives are at stake. Eventually, Dutch agrees and begins assembling his elite team. The squad includes Mac, Blaine, Billy, Poncho, and Hawkins. Each member possesses unique skills and years of combat experience. Together, they form one of the deadliest military units in the world. Soon, the team boards a helicopter and heads toward the dense jungle. During the flight, the soldiers joke with one another, showing the strong bond they share. Despite the dangerous mission ahead, everyone appears confident. Dutch notices that Dillon has become more serious over the years and suspects that his old friend might be hiding something. After landing, the group begins tracking the crash site. The jungle is thick, humid, and strangely quiet. Billy, the team's expert tracker, senses something unusual but cannot explain it. Eventually, they discover the wreckage of the helicopter. What they find is horrifying. The crew members have been skinned alive and hung from trees. Even these hardened soldiers are shocked by the brutal scene. Dutch immediately realizes that ordinary guerrilla fighters could not have done something so savage. Dillon suggests that enemy forces are responsible, but Dutch remains unconvinced. Nevertheless, they continue their mission and begin following footprints leading deeper into the jungle. As they move forward, Hawkins intercepts radio signals indicating that the guerrilla camp is nearby. Using binoculars, the team observes dozens of armed soldiers guarding prisoners. Dutch decides to launch a surprise attack. Since rescuing hostages is their priority, speed and precision are essential. The operation begins with deadly efficiency. Billy silently eliminates a guard with his knife, while the others position themselves around the camp. Seconds later, chaos erupts. Explosions shake the jungle as Dutch and his men unleash devastating firepower. Enemy soldiers fall one after another, and vehicles burst into flames. The elite commandos dominate the battlefield with overwhelming force. During the assault, they discover a woman named Anna who is being held captive by the guerrillas. Hawkins captures her and keeps her under watch while the rest of the team secures the area. Soon, the battle ends, leaving the camp completely destroyed. However, Dutch discovers evidence that changes everything. The missing cabinet minister was never there. Instead, the camp contained intelligence documents and military equipment. Furious, Dutch confronts Dylan and accuses him of lying. Dylan finally admits that the real mission was to eliminate Soviet backed guerrillas and recover secret information. Dutch feels betrayed because his men were used for political purposes. Although angry, Dutch knows they must return safely. They begin their journey back through the jungle with Anna as their prisoner. Unknown to them, something else has been watching from the trees the entire time. Invisible eyes carefully observe every movement they make. High above, hidden among the branches, an unknown creature studies the soldiers using advanced thermal vision. It moves silently and effortlessly, almost like a ghost. Whatever it is, it does not seem human. As night slowly approaches, the team remains unaware that they are no longer the hunters. They have become the prey. After destroying the guerrilla camp and discovering that Dylan had lied about the true purpose of the mission, Dutch and his team begin their journey back through the jungle. Although they have completed the operation, nobody feels satisfied. Dutch is angry that his men were used for a secret CIA assignment, and the atmosphere among the group becomes tense. However, there is no time to argue because their only goal now is to reach the extraction point safely. As they move through the dense forest with Anna as their prisoner, everyone notices something strange. The jungle feels unusually quiet, and even experienced soldiers like Billy seem uncomfortable. It is as if something invisible is following them from a distance. Unknown to the team, their every move is being watched by a mysterious creature hidden among the trees. Through advanced thermal vision, the alien hunter observes the men carefully, studying their movements and patiently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Unlike ordinary enemies, this creature enjoys hunting and treats its victims like trophies. While traveling through the jungle, Anna behaves strangely. She constantly looks around nervously and appears more frightened than before. Hawkins, who has been assigned to guard her, tries to talk to her and gain her trust. Although she initially refuses to speak, it becomes clear that she knows something terrible about these forests. Meanwhile, Billy suddenly stops walking and stares into the distance. Everyone notices the serious expression on his face. Billy has exceptional tracking abilities and rarely becomes frightened. But this time, he senses danger. He quietly tells Dutch that they are being followed. Dutch immediately orders the men to search the surrounding area. Mac, Blaine, and Poncho spread out while examining the jungle, but they find absolutely nothing. There are no footprints, no sounds, and no signs of enemy soldiers. Despite this, the strange feeling remains. Even Dutch begins to suspect that something unnatural is happening. The silence of the jungle becomes more disturbing with every passing minute, and nobody can explain why all the birds and animals seem to have disappeared. As night falls, Dutch decides to establish camp near a waterfall. The soldiers try to relax after the exhausting mission, joking with one another and sharing stories. Blaine's loud personality helps lighten the mood, and for a short time, everyone almost forgets their worries. However, Anna suddenly becomes extremely afraid. Looking into the darkness surrounding them, she begins telling a terrifying story passed down by her people. According to local legends, during the hottest years, a demon comes to the jungle and hunts human beings. Entire groups disappear without explanation, and those who are found are often skinned and hung from trees. The guerrilla fighters themselves fear these stories and avoid entering certain areas. Most of the soldiers laugh and dismiss the tale as superstition, but Billy remains silent. Something about Anna's story reminds him of the horrifying bodies they discovered earlier near the crashed helicopter. Dutch also starts thinking about the strange brutality of those killings. Deep inside, he knows that ordinary men are incapable of such savagery. The next morning, the team resumes its journey through the jungle. Hawkins continues guarding Anna and speaks kindly to her in hopes of learning more. Eventually, she reveals that disappearances have happened for many years and that nobody who encountered the demon ever returned alive. Before Hawkins can ask further questions, Anna suddenly escapes and runs into the jungle. Determined to capture her, Hawkins chases after her while the others remain behind. As he follows her path, Hawkins notices strange movements among the trees. At first, he thinks his eyes are playing tricks on him. Suddenly, something invisible appears for a split second before disappearing again. Confused and unable to understand what he has seen, Hawkins slowly approaches. Without warning, a deadly weapon strikes him with incredible speed. In only a few seconds, Hawkins is brutally killed before he even has the chance to defend himself. Anna witnesses the horrifying attack and screams in terror as the invisible creature vanishes into the forest once again. Hearing her screams, Dutch and the others rush toward the area and find Hawkins lying dead. Shock spreads across the team. Hawkins was an experienced soldier, and nobody understands how he could have been killed so quickly. Matt becomes overwhelmed with anger after losing his close friend. While examining the surrounding bushes, he suddenly notices movement and immediately opens fire. Believing enemy soldiers are hiding nearby, Blaine joins him with his massive machine gun. Within seconds, every member of the team begins firing in all directions. Thousands of bullets rip through trees and destroy everything around them. The jungle erupts into chaos as explosions and gunfire echo everywhere. For several minutes, the soldiers unleash enough firepower to destroy an entire army. Finally, Dutch orders everyone to stop. Silence returns and smoke slowly fills the air. The men carefully inspect the area, expecting to find bodies or signs of their enemy. Instead, they discover something even more terrifying. There are no dead soldiers, no footprints, and no evidence that anyone was there. It is as though they have been shooting at ghosts. Unknown to them, however, their enemy is very real. Hidden nearby, the mysterious hunter watches them through its thermal vision. Although wounded slightly by their attack, the creature has survived and now understands that these men are unlike ordinary prey. Rather than killing them quickly, it decides to continue its deadly game and enjoy the hunt. Meanwhile, fear begins spreading through Dutch's team. For the first time in their lives, these elite commandos realize they are facing something they cannot understand. No training, no weapons, and no experience have prepared them for an enemy that can become invisible and strike without warning. What started as a simple rescue mission has now transformed into a nightmare. The hunters who once dominated every battlefield have unknowingly become the hunted, and deep inside the jungle, a terrifying predator has only just begun its bloody collection of trophies. After the terrifying death of Hawkins and the team's desperate attempt to destroy an enemy they could not even see, fear slowly begins spreading among the commandos. For years, these men have fought in dangerous missions and survived impossible situations. But this time, things are different. Their enemy leaves no tracks, attacks without warning, and disappears before anyone can react. Dutch tries to maintain control and encourages everyone to stay focused, but even he cannot hide the concern growing inside him. Mac is especially affected by Hawkins's death because the two shared a strong friendship. The loss fills him with anger and frustration. Instead of fear, he becomes obsessed with revenge and repeatedly insists that whatever killed Hawkins can still be hunted down. However, Billy remains quiet and uneasy. His instincts tell him that they are facing something far beyond human understanding. The jungle itself feels hostile now, and every sound among the trees makes the men more nervous. Realizing that they may be dealing with a highly skilled enemy, Dutch decides to slow their pace and become more cautious. The group carefully studies the surrounding area and eventually discovers something unusual. They find strange glowing blood on leaves and branches. Since none of the team members are injured, it becomes clear that their mysterious attacker has been wounded during the earlier firefight. This discovery gives everyone a small sense of hope. If the creature can bleed, then perhaps it can also be killed. Mac becomes convinced that the enemy is hiding nearby. Believing revenge is within reach, he volunteers to stay behind and watch the area. Dutch reluctantly agrees and orders the others to continue preparing for the journey. Hidden in the shadows, however, the predator observes everything. Far away from the soldiers, the alien removes its mask and begins treating its injury using advanced medical equipment. For the first time, viewers see that this creature is not an ordinary monster, but an intelligent hunter equipped with technology far beyond anything humans possess. As darkness slowly approaches, Mac remains alone in the jungle, patiently waiting for another opportunity to strike. Memories of Hawkins continue haunting him, and his grief turns into obsession. Suddenly, he notices movement in the trees and catches a glimpse of something almost invisible. Without hesitation, he opens fire wildly. The loud gunshots alert the rest of the team, and everyone rushes toward his position. Dutch asks what happened, but Mac struggles to explain. He insists that he saw something watching him, but the others are unable to find any evidence. While searching the area, Blaine stands nearby with his massive machine gun, unaware that danger is already close. In a matter of seconds, disaster strikes. A strange energy weapon fires from the trees, and Blaine is instantly killed. His body falls to the ground before anyone even understands what has happened. Shock freezes the entire team. Blaine was the strongest member of the group, and seeing him die so suddenly terrifies everyone. Consumed by rage, Mac begins firing endlessly into the jungle. Dylan joins him, and together they unleash thousands of rounds while screaming in anger. Poncho and Dutch try to stop them, but emotions have already taken over. Once again, bullets destroy everything around them, yet their enemy remains unseen. When the shooting finally ends, the terrifying truth becomes obvious. Despite all their weapons and overwhelming firepower, they have accomplished nothing. The creature has escaped once again. The death of Blaine changes the mood completely. Jokes disappear, confidence vanishes, and the team begins realizing that they are being hunted one by one. Anna watches the soldiers with fear and quietly repeats the stories she heard as a child. According to the legends, the demon always takes trophies from its victims and never stops until everyone is dead. Her words sound unbelievable, but after witnessing the impossible events around them, nobody laughs anymore. Determined to fight back, Dutch orders the men to prepare a series of traps. Using their military experience, they construct an elaborate network of ropes, nets, and explosive devices designed to capture whoever is stalking them. The plan is simple: they will use themselves as bait and force the enemy into making a mistake. Hours pass in complete silence as everyone waits nervously. Suddenly, branches begin moving, and something massive charges through the jungle. The soldiers activate the traps, and explosions shake the forest. Trees collapse, ropes tighten, and a heavy net falls over the invisible creature. For a brief moment, the team celebrates, believing they have finally captured their enemy. But their excitement quickly turns into disappointment when they discover they have only trapped a wild boar. The realization crushes their hopes. Whatever is hunting them is far smarter than they imagined. It has successfully avoided every trap and continues playing with them like a cat playing with mice. As night falls, Billy becomes increasingly disturbed. He senses that death is approaching and admits to Dutch that something terrible is waiting for them ahead. Even the fearless tracker now struggles to hide his fear. Dutch notices the change in Billy and understands that the psychological pressure is affecting everyone. Yet there is no way back. Their only chance is to keep moving and hope they can reach the extraction point before the creature strikes again. Unseen by the team, the predator watches from above with growing interest. Unlike previous victims, these soldiers have managed to wound it and survive longer than expected. Instead of becoming frustrated, the alien seems impressed. To the predator, this hunt has become exciting. It no longer sees the men as simple prey, but as worthy opponents. And for a hunter that lives for glory and trophies, that makes the game even more enjoyable. Far above the terrified commandos, hidden among the trees and surrounded by darkness, the alien warrior silently prepares for its next attack. And this time, it has chosen another victim. The deadliest phase of the hunt is about to begin, and soon the team will discover that survival in this jungle depends not on strength but on understanding the rules of a creature that has been hunting warriors for generations. After the death of Blaine, the atmosphere within Dutch's team changes completely. The confidence that once defined these elite commandos has disappeared, replaced by fear and uncertainty. They are no longer dealing with ordinary soldiers or guerrilla fighters. Something far more dangerous is stalking them, and no amount of firepower seems capable of stopping it. Dutch knows that panic is their greatest enemy, so he orders everyone to stay together and continue moving toward the extraction point. However, deep inside, even he is beginning to question whether any of them will survive. The jungle around them feels darker and more threatening with every passing hour. Every broken branch and every distant sound causes the men to tighten their grip on their weapons. The hunter watching them from above meanwhile remains patient. Having already claimed two trophies, the creature seems to enjoy observing the fear slowly growing among its prey. Determined not to lose any more men, Dutch decides to use their military experience to fight back. He orders the group to set up a complex system of traps designed to capture whatever is hunting them. Ropes, nets, explosives, and sharpened stakes are carefully arranged throughout the jungle. Every member contributes, hoping their combined skills will finally give them an advantage. As night approaches, the soldiers prepare themselves and wait in complete silence. Their nerves are stretched to the limit, but nobody dares to speak. Suddenly, movement appears among the trees. Without hesitation, the men activate the traps. Massive explosions shake the jungle and several trees collapse. Everyone immediately opens fire, believing they have finally cornered the enemy. For a few moments, hope returns to their faces. But when the dust clears, they discover that their traps have only caught a wild boar. The realization crushes their spirits. Whatever is hunting them is not only powerful, but intelligent enough to avoid every trick they attempt. As the team resumes moving, Mac becomes increasingly obsessed with avenging Hawkins and Blaine. His grief clouds his judgment, and he begins acting recklessly. While the others rest, he notices strange movement in the darkness and quietly leaves the group without informing anyone. Convinced that he has finally found the creature, Mac follows it deeper into the jungle. Dylan notices his absence and immediately goes after him. Although Dutch orders them to return, both men disappear into the darkness. Hidden nearby, the predator watches everything unfold. It understands human behavior and recognizes that emotional weakness makes its prey easier to hunt. Eventually, Dylan catches up with Mac and tries to convince him to return. But before either man can react, the invisible creature launches another deadly attack. A powerful blast from its shoulder weapon narrowly misses them, forcing both soldiers to take cover. They begin firing wildly into the jungle, but once again their enemy remains unseen. During the chaos, Mac catches a brief glimpse of the creature moving through the trees. For the first time, he realizes they are facing something that is not human. Before he can warn Dylan, the predator strikes with terrifying speed. In an instant, Mac is killed, leaving Dylan horrified and helpless. Fear overwhelms him, but he refuses to abandon his friend. Determined to fight back, Dylan grabs his weapon and desperately searches for the invisible attacker. However, the predator is already behind him. Within seconds, Dylan loses his arm to the creature's devastating attack. Despite his severe injury, he continues firing with his remaining hand, refusing to surrender. His courage is admirable, but it is useless against such a powerful enemy. Moments later, Dylan is brutally killed, becoming the predator's next trophy. Hidden in the darkness, the alien silently observes the bodies of its victims before disappearing once again into the trees. Back with the rest of the group, Dutch, Poncho, Billy, and Anna hear the distant gunfire and immediately realize something terrible has happened. They rush toward the sound only to discover signs of another attack. By now, nobody doubts that they are dealing with an inhuman creature. Anna finally explains the ancient stories in greater detail. According to her people, the demon hunts during the hottest seasons and only targets armed warriors. It kills for sport and takes trophies from the dead. Billy listens carefully and slowly begins accepting the truth. Whatever this thing is, it follows its own code and sees the soldiers as prey in some kind of deadly game. Even Dutch starts understanding that conventional tactics are useless. They are trapped inside the creature's hunting ground, and every move they make is being watched. As they continue toward the extraction point, exhaustion and fear begin taking their toll. Poncho suffers injuries during their desperate escape, slowing the group down. Billy, who has remained silent for most of the journey, finally speaks. His instincts tell him that none of them will escape together. He believes death is waiting ahead, and that running will only delay the inevitable. The usually fearless tracker has accepted what the others still refuse to acknowledge. Dutch tries to encourage his men, but he can see despair in their eyes. Hidden among the trees, the predator watches with growing satisfaction. The hunt is progressing exactly as it intended. One by one, the strongest warriors are falling and the survivors are slowly losing hope. Yet among them, Dutch continues resisting. Unlike the others, he refuses to surrender to fear, and unknowingly, that determination has earned the alien hunter's respect. As dawn approaches, the survivors finally reach a narrow bridge crossing a deep ravine. But Billy suddenly stops walking. He removes his weapon and calmly looks into the darkness behind them. To everyone's surprise, he tells Dutch to continue without him. Dutch refuses at first, but Billy knows there is no other choice. He has decided to face the creature alone and buy time for the others to escape. With quiet courage, Billy stands on the bridge, knife in hand, waiting for the monster that has haunted them since entering the jungle. Far away, hidden by the shadows and armed with weapons beyond human imagination, the predator accepts Billy's challenge. And within moments, the greatest tracker of the team will come face to face with the hunter that has turned their mission into a nightmare. As the exhausted survivors continue their desperate journey toward the extraction point, Billy suddenly stops at the narrow bridge crossing the ravine. Throughout the mission, Billy has been the calmest and most spiritually aware member of the team. His instincts had warned him from the beginning that something unnatural was hunting them, and now he finally accepts that there is no escaping fate. Without saying much, he slowly removes his rifle and other equipment. To the surprise of Dutch, Poncho, and Anna, Billy chooses to remain behind. Dutch refuses to leave him and tries convincing him to continue. But Billy simply shakes his head. Deep inside, he understands that the creature will never stop following them. Someone must delay it, even if that means sacrificing himself. Armed only with his knife and incredible courage, Billy stands alone on the bridge and prepares to face the invisible hunter. Although the others reluctantly continue moving forward, the sound of Billy's powerful scream soon echoes through the jungle. Then silence returns. The terrifying noise tells Dutch everything he needs to know. Another member of his team has fallen, and the deadliest tracker among them is gone. Grief and frustration continue to build within Dutch, but there is no time to mourn. He, Poncho, and Anna push forward, hoping to reach the extraction point before the creature attacks again. However, the predator has become increasingly aggressive. No longer satisfied with watching from a distance, the alien begins hunting more openly. As the group moves through the jungle, a powerful energy blast suddenly strikes nearby, throwing Poncho violently down a rocky slope. Dutch and Anna rush to help him and discover that Poncho has been badly injured. Though still alive, he struggles to walk, and his condition makes their escape even more difficult. Dutch knows they are running out of time. Every minute they spend in the jungle gives the hunter another opportunity to attack. Yet abandoning Poncho is not an option. Unlike the predator, Dutch refuses to leave his companions behind. Eventually, the three survivors reach the extraction point and signal for the rescue helicopter. For the first time in hours, hope begins returning. Perhaps they can finally escape this nightmare. But before the helicopter arrives, the predator launches another attack. Its deadly plasma weapon strikes with devastating force, creating explosions all around them. The survivors scatter in panic while desperately searching for cover. During the chaos, Dutch notices something strange. The alien deliberately avoids attacking Anna, even when she is completely exposed. Confused, Dutch begins observing the creature more carefully and realizes that it only targets armed opponents. Anna, who no longer carries any weapons, is ignored entirely. This discovery reveals an important truth.
Despite its brutality, the creature follows a code of honor. It hunts those it considers worthy opponents and shows no interest in unarmed prey. This realization gives Dutch a better understanding of the enemy they are facing. The rescue helicopter finally appears overhead, but reaching it proves impossible. Explosions and gunfire force the survivors to separate. In the confusion, Poncho is knocked unconscious, leaving Dutch and Anna isolated. Suddenly, the predator appears more clearly than ever before. Its cloaking technology flickers, allowing Dutch to briefly see the outline of the massive alien warrior. The sight is terrifying. The creature is far larger and stronger than any human, and its advanced weaponry makes it nearly unstoppable. Dutch fires his weapon repeatedly, but the predator effortlessly avoids the attacks. Realizing they cannot win, Dutch grabs Anna and orders her to run toward the helicopter. Anna hesitates, unwilling to leave him behind, but Dutch insists. He understands that she has a chance to survive because the creature does not see her as prey. With tears in her eyes, Anna reluctantly escapes while Dutch stays behind to confront the nightmare alone. The predator follows Dutch into the jungle, eager to finish its hunt. As Dutch runs through the forest, explosions and energy blasts destroy everything around him. Branches collapse, trees shatter, and the jungle itself becomes a battlefield. Despite his experience and physical strength, Dutch finds himself completely overmatched. He narrowly avoids several attacks and desperately searches for a way to survive. During the chase, he accidentally falls into a river and is carried away by the strong current. Bruised and exhausted, he eventually reaches the muddy riverbank and struggles to his feet. Believing he has lost his prey, the predator scans the area using its thermal vision, but something unexpected happens. Covered entirely in cold mud, Dutch's body temperature becomes hidden. For the first time since the hunt began, the alien cannot see him. The predator stands only a few feet away, yet completely fails to detect his presence. Dutch watches in amazement as the creature walks past him. In that moment, he realizes something incredible. The monster relies heavily on heat vision, and the mud has made him invisible. Suddenly, the fear that had consumed him begins transforming into determination. For hours, he and his men had been hunted without understanding the enemy. But now Dutch has finally discovered a weakness. Although exhausted and alone, he knows there is still hope. If the creature can be fooled, then perhaps it can also be defeated. Looking around the jungle, Dutch notices the natural environment surrounding him. Unlike the predator's advanced technology, the forest itself offers simple tools and resources. Slowly, a plan begins forming in his mind. He understands that fighting the alien with guns and modern weapons is useless. To survive, he must become something entirely different. Far above the jungle floor, the predator realizes that its prey has disappeared. Confused but intrigued, the alien begins searching carefully. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the hunter experiences uncertainty. Its confidence remains strong, but deep inside it senses that the game has changed. Dutch is no longer running in fear. He is preparing to fight back. And soon, the hunter who came seeking trophies will discover that its final prey is far more dangerous than it ever imagined. After being swept away by the river and discovering that the cold mud on his body had hidden him from the predator's thermal vision, Dutch finally gained something he has not had since the nightmare began: a chance. For hours he and his men had been running, reacting, and struggling to survive against an enemy they could barely understand. Now, for the first time, Dutch possesses valuable information. The creature is not invincible, it has weaknesses. Exhausted and covered in mud, he remains perfectly still while the predator searches nearby. The alien moves through the jungle cautiously, scanning the area with its advanced vision, unaware that its prey is lying only a few feet away. When the creature eventually leaves, Dutch slowly rises from the mud and begins thinking carefully. He understands that modern weapons have failed. Machine guns, explosives, and overwhelming firepower have accomplished nothing. If he wants to survive, he must abandon everything he knows and fight the creature on different terms. Looking around, Dutch realizes that the jungle itself can become his weapon. Throughout history, humans survived not because of superior strength, but because of intelligence and adaptability. Inspired by this idea, Dutch begins preparing for battle. Using branches, vines, stones, and mud, he starts constructing primitive traps. He sharpens wooden stakes and creates deadly pitfalls designed to injure or slow down the alien. Piece by piece, he transforms the surrounding area into a battlefield of his own choosing. Unlike earlier attempts made by the team, these traps are designed specifically for a single opponent. Dutch knows he cannot overpower the creature physically. Instead, he intends to outthink it. Hours pass as he works tirelessly despite his injuries and exhaustion. Every trap represents his determination to survive and avenge his fallen friends. Memories of Hawkins, Blaine, Mac, Billy, Poncho, and the others continue driving him forward. He refuses to allow their deaths to be meaningless. Meanwhile, the predator continues searching for its missing prey. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the hunter experiences frustration. Every other victim had eventually fallen, but Dutch has somehow vanished. Intrigued by this challenge, the alien removes its mask and studies the jungle carefully. Without the mask, the predator reveals its horrifying appearance. Its face is unlike anything seen before, with powerful jaws and terrifying features that make it seem even more monstrous. Yet beneath its savage appearance lies intelligence and discipline. To the predator, hunting is not simple murder, it is a sacred tradition. Defeating worthy opponents brings honor, and Dutch has now earned the creature's respect. Rather than abandoning the hunt, the predator becomes even more determined. It wants the challenge, it wants victory, and above all, it wants the ultimate trophy. As darkness begins covering the jungle, Dutch completes his preparations and finally lets out a loud battle cry, deliberately attracting the predator's attention. The sound echoes through the forest, immediately capturing the creature's interest. Realizing that its prey has stopped running, the predator eagerly accepts the challenge. It activates its camouflage and begins moving toward the source of the noise. High above the trees, the hunter observes Dutch standing alone. To the alien, this is no longer merely a hunt. It has become a duel between warriors. Confident in its superiority, the predator decides to confront Dutch directly. It does not know that the battlefield ahead has been carefully prepared. Hidden beneath the mud and foliage are traps waiting to spring into action. Dutch grips his weapon tightly and prepares himself. Fear still exists inside him, but it no longer controls him. He has accepted the possibility of death and is willing to fight until his final breath. The battle begins when the predator launches one of its powerful energy blasts. Dutch narrowly avoids the attack, and explosions tear through the jungle. He immediately retreats, drawing the creature deeper into his trap-filled territory. The predator follows with confidence, believing victory is certain. Suddenly, sharpened stakes swing from above, forcing the alien to dodge. Moments later, hidden traps explode around it, causing confusion. Although the predator avoids some of the dangers, several traps succeed in slowing it down. Furious, the creature destroys everything in its path while pursuing Dutch with increasing aggression. Trees collapse, rocks shatter, and the jungle becomes a war zone. Despite his clever strategy, Dutch realizes that even wounded and enraged, the predator remains incredibly powerful. One mistake could mean death. As the fight intensifies, Dutch manages to injure the creature several times. For the first time, the hunter bleeds heavily and roars in pain. Its confidence begins fading as it realizes that this human opponent is far more dangerous than expected. The predator removes its camouflage and reveals itself completely, standing proudly before Dutch. The sight is terrifying. Towering over him, armed with advanced weapons and possessing immense physical strength, the alien appears unstoppable. Yet something unexpected happens. Instead of killing Dutch immediately, the creature throws aside many of its technological advantages. It removes its mask and some of its equipment, choosing to face him more honorably. In the predator's eyes, Dutch has earned the right to a fair battle. This moment reveals the strange code that governs the alien hunter. It does not simply seek slaughter, it seeks glory. Now, standing face to face, man and monster prepare for the final stage of their confrontation. Dutch uses every ounce of strength remaining in his body while the predator charges forward with brutal force. The battle becomes a savage struggle for survival. Punches, attacks, and desperate efforts follow one after another. Despite his courage, Dutch is physically overwhelmed. The predator throws him around like a rag doll, and every impact leaves him weaker. Eventually, Dutch crashes to the ground, exhausted and nearly defeated. The alien stands above him, believing the hunt is finally over. But hidden above them, unnoticed by the predator, one final trap still waits, and within moments everything will change.
As Dutch lies battered and exhausted on the jungle floor, the predator stands triumphantly over him, convinced that the hunt is finally over. Throughout the battle, the alien warrior has demonstrated overwhelming strength and advanced technology, proving why so many skilled soldiers had fallen before it. Dutch can barely stand, his body covered in wounds and bruises. Every muscle in his body screams with pain, and for a moment it appears that defeat is unavoidable. The predator roars proudly and slowly approaches its final victim. Having removed much of its equipment, the creature now wishes to finish the battle in honorable hand to hand combat. To the alien hunter, Dutch has proven himself worthy. Unlike the others, he survived longer, adapted to impossible circumstances, and even managed to wound the mighty predator. In the creature's eyes, Dutch is no longer prey. He is a respected opponent. Yet, while the alien celebrates what it believes is victory, Dutch's mind remains focused. Hidden above them, unnoticed by the predator, his final trap waits silently. Barely able to move, Dutch slowly crawls backward while pretending to be completely helpless. The predator follows him confidently, enjoying the moment. Its arrogance prevents it from noticing the danger hanging directly overhead. Memories of his fallen teammates flash through Dutch's mind. He remembers Hawkins, Blaine, Mac, Billy, Poncho, and the others who trusted him with their lives. Their deaths fuel his determination. Gathering every bit of strength left inside him, Dutch suddenly rolls away and activates the final mechanism. In an instant, a massive counterweight releases, causing an enormous tree trunk covered with sharpened spikes to swing downward with tremendous force. The predator realizes the danger too late. Before it can escape, the giant trap crashes into the alien and crushes it beneath its immense weight. The jungle falls silent. For several seconds, Dutch remains frozen, unable to believe what has happened. Slowly, he rises to his feet and cautiously approaches the creature. Blood covers the ground, and the once powerful hunter appears defeated. A mixture of relief and disbelief fills Dutch's heart. Against impossible odds, he has accomplished what no one else could. Using intelligence and determination rather than superior weapons, he has defeated the monster that destroyed his entire team. Standing over the fallen predator, Dutch finally allows himself to breathe. The nightmare that began with a simple rescue mission seems to have ended. But just when he thinks it is over, something unexpected happens. The predator suddenly begins laughing. At first, Dutch is confused because the sound resembles a human voice. Then he realizes the creature is mimicking recordings of laughter it had heard earlier from Billy and the others. Despite being mortally wounded, the alien seems strangely calm. Confused and alarmed, Dutch notices the creature pressing buttons on a device attached to its wrist. A strange series of symbols appears on the screen, and an ominous countdown begins. Instantly, Dutch understands that something terrible is about to happen. Although he cannot understand the alien language, his instincts tell him that the device is some kind of self destruct mechanism. The predator, unwilling to let its body or technology fall into enemy hands, has chosen to die on its own terms. Realizing the danger, Dutch immediately turns and runs through the jungle as fast as his exhausted body will allow. Behind him, the predator's eerie laughter echoes through the forest, growing louder and more disturbing with each passing second. The countdown continues while Dutch desperately searches for safety. Trees and branches tear at his body as he stumbles forward. Every second feels like an eternity. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupts behind him. A massive explosion tears through the jungle with unbelievable force. The shock wave throws Dutch to the ground as flames and destruction spread across the area. In only moments, everything around the predator is completely annihilated. The alien hunter has destroyed itself, taking its secrets with it. What began as a hunt has ended with the predator choosing death rather than defeat. Hours later, as the sun rises over the devastated jungle, Dutch slowly regains consciousness. His body is broken and his mind is filled with memories of the horrors he has endured. Around him lies nothing but silence and destruction. Every member of his team is gone. He is the sole survivor. Despite his victory, there is no happiness in his eyes. The cost of survival has been too great. Exhausted and emotionally shattered, Dutch walks towards the extraction point where Anna waits nearby. Soon, the sound of helicopter blades fills the air. The rescue team has finally arrived. As the helicopter lands, Dutch is helped aboard. The soldiers who greet him are shocked by his appearance. Covered in dirt and blood, he hardly resembles the confident leader who entered the jungle days earlier. As the helicopter lifts into the sky, Dutch quietly sits beside Anna. Neither of them speaks. There are no celebrations and no words capable of describing what they have experienced. Through the open door, Dutch stares down at the jungle below. The memories of his fallen friends haunt him, and the faces of those who died remain forever etched in his mind. Although the world believes the mission has ended, Dutch understands that nobody will truly understand what happened there. No one would believe the existence of the terrifying hunter that came from the stars. Yet, somewhere deep inside, one troubling thought refuses to disappear. If one such creature existed, could there be others? Far beyond Earth, hidden among the endless darkness of space, mysteries still remain. And unknown to humanity, the legend of the Predator is far from over. As the rescue helicopter rises above the burning jungle, Dutch sits silently beside Anna, physically alive but emotionally shattered. The mission that had started as a routine rescue operation had turned into a nightmare beyond imagination. Every member of his elite squad had been killed, and despite surviving, Dutch could not consider himself victorious. The faces of Hawkins, Blaine, Mac, Billy, Poncho, and Dylan continued haunting his thoughts. Their laughter, conversations, and loyalty replayed endlessly in his mind. Anna, sitting nearby, remains equally silent. She had warned everyone about the ancient demon that visited the jungle, yet even she could never have imagined the horrors they would witness. Neither of them has the strength to speak. Sometimes silence says more than words ever can. As the helicopter flies away from the devastated jungle, Dutch looks down one final time, believing that the nightmare has finally come to an end. Back in civilization, however, things become even more complicated. Military officials and intelligence agencies begin questioning Dutch about the mission. They expect reports about enemy soldiers, guerrilla camps, and political operations. Instead, Dutch speaks about an invisible creature from another world. Naturally, nobody believes him. To many officials, his story sounds like the result of trauma and exhaustion. Some assume he has suffered psychological damage after losing his team. Others think he is hiding the truth about what really happened. But Dutch knows exactly what he saw. No amount of questioning can change the memories burned into his mind. Unfortunately, without any physical evidence remaining after the predator's self destruction, proving the existence of the alien becomes impossible. The creature had ensured that its secrets would die with it. As far as the world is concerned, the events in the jungle remain an unsolved mystery. Meanwhile, rumors begin spreading among local villages near the jungle. Stories of strange lights, terrifying screams, and mysterious disappearances have existed for generations, and now they grow stronger than ever. The natives continue speaking about the demon hunter that appears during the hottest years. Although many outsiders dismiss these stories as myths, the older villagers know better. Their ancestors had spoken about the same creature long before modern civilization reached these lands. To them, Dutch and Anna are simply the latest survivors to witness an ancient nightmare. The legend continues to live on, passed from one generation to another. Fear becomes part of the jungle itself, and no one dares to enter certain areas after sunset. Even experienced hunters and soldiers avoid those regions, unwilling to challenge forces they cannot understand. Far away from Earth, among the stars, the truth about the predator species remains hidden. The creature Dutch defeated was not a lone monster acting without purpose. It belonged to an advanced race of hunters whose traditions had existed for centuries. For them, hunting dangerous prey was more than entertainment. It was a sacred ritual and a way of earning honor. The strongest warriors sought worthy opponents across different worlds, collecting trophies as symbols of victory. Human beings were only one of many species they had encountered. The predator that died in the jungle had accepted death rather than allowing its technology and body to fall into enemy hands. In its culture, such a sacrifice was considered honorable. Though terrifying to humans, the creature had lived according to a strict code. It avoided attacking unarmed individuals and respected enemies who proved themselves in battle. Dutch had earned that respect, making him one of the few humans ever recognized as a worthy adversary. Months pass, but Dutch finds it impossible to return to normal life. Sleep becomes difficult, and nightmares constantly disturb him. Loud noises remind him of explosions in the jungle, and every shadow makes him uneasy. The experience has changed him forever. Friends and colleagues notice that he has become quieter and more distant. The fearless leader who once inspired everyone around him now carries invisible scars. Sometimes he wonders whether surviving was truly a blessing. Everyone he cared about during that mission had died, and he alone remained. Survivor's guilt weighs heavily on his mind. Yet, despite the pain, Dutch refuses to forget his fallen comrades. He honors their memory by continuing to live and carrying their sacrifices with him every day. Although nobody believes his story, he knows the truth. Somewhere in the universe, creatures like the one he fought still exist. Unknown to Dutch, his battle against the predator has not gone unnoticed. Among the alien hunters, stories are told about worthy prey and glorious battles. The warrior who died on Earth is remembered with honor, and the human who defeated it becomes a figure of curiosity. Dutch's victory is something few species have ever achieved. His intelligence, determination, and refusal to surrender have earned recognition beyond his world. While humanity remains unaware of the danger lurking among the stars, the predators remember. And as long as they continue their ancient traditions, Earth itself may one day attract more hunters seeking the same challenge. The jungle eventually begins recovering from the destruction caused by the final battle. Trees grow again, animals return, and nature slowly hides the scars left behind. To ordinary people, the forest appears peaceful and beautiful once more. Yet, beneath that beauty lies a dark history written in blood and fear. The echoes of screams may have faded, but the legend remains alive. Travelers continue hearing strange stories from locals, and mysterious disappearances still occasionally occur. Most dismiss them as exaggerations or folklore, But legends often survive because they contain fragments of truth. And somewhere in the endless darkness of space, unseen eyes continue watching. The hunt may have ended for Dutch, but for the predators, it was only one chapter in a much larger story. As time passes after the horrifying events in the jungle, Dutch tries to move forward with his life, but the memories refuse to disappear. Although he has returned to civilization, part of him still remains trapped in that nightmare. Every night he sees the faces of his fallen teammates. Hawkins, Blaine, Mac, Billy, Poncho, and Dylan are gone, but their memories continue living inside him. Sometimes he remembers the jokes they shared during the helicopter ride, when none of them could have imagined the horror waiting ahead. At other times, he remembers their final moments and the helplessness he felt as one by one they were taken away. Survival had come with a terrible price. Dutch often questions why he was the only one left alive. There are no answers, only painful memories and an emptiness that never truly disappears. Despite everything, he understands that he must continue living, not only for himself, but also to honor the men who trusted him until the very end. Meanwhile, military authorities quietly closed the case surrounding the failed operation. Official reports described the mission as a tragic incident involving hostile forces and severe casualties. The truth about the alien hunter is hidden beneath layers of secrecy and disbelief. Since no physical evidence survived the explosion, nobody can prove what really happened. Many officials prefer to ignore Dutch's claims because accepting them would mean admitting that humanity is not alone in the universe. Some scientists privately wonder whether there might be more to the story, but without proof, speculation remains just that, speculation. Gradually, the world moves on and the events in the jungle fade into obscurity. Newspapers stop discussing the mission, and public attention shifts elsewhere. To most people, the incident becomes just another forgotten military tragedy. But forgotten by the world does not mean forgotten by those who lived through it. Anna eventually returns to her homeland and resumes her life, though she too carries scars that cannot be seen. The ancient stories passed down by her ancestors no longer feel like myths. She knows with absolute certainty that the demon hunter described by generations before her was real. The terrifying creature that stalked the jungle existed, and she had witnessed its brutality with her own eyes. The elders of her village listen carefully to her experiences and recognize similarities with stories told by their ancestors for centuries. To them, the predator is not merely a monster, but a warning. They continue preserving these legends so future generations will understand the dangers hidden within the jungle. While outsiders laugh at such tales, those who know the truth speak about them with respect and fear. Legends survive because they are born from real events, and the predator's existence becomes part of the oral history of the people who have lived near those forests for generations. Far beyond Earth, among the stars, the predator species continues its ancient traditions. The death of the hunter in the jungle does not mark the end of their story. Instead, it becomes another chapter in their long history. The fallen warrior is remembered with honor because it died fighting a worthy opponent. Among its kind, glory is measured not by survival but by courage and achievement. Defeat itself is not considered shameful if it comes against an honorable enemy. Dutch's victory earns him an unusual place within the predator culture. Though human, he has proven himself capable of defeating one of their greatest warriors using intelligence and adaptability. Such achievements are respected even by alien standards. Unknown to humanity, stories about this battle are remembered far from Earth, where countless other hunters continue seeking challenges across the galaxy.
Years later, the story of the predator begins influencing countless rumors and unexplained reports. Strange disappearances, mysterious lights, and unusual encounters are occasionally whispered about in different parts of the world. Most people dismiss such stories as imagination or superstition. Governments deny everything, and scientists demand evidence. Yet some individuals quietly investigate these mysteries, believing there may be truths hidden behind the legends. Whether they are right or wrong remains uncertain, but one thing becomes clear: humanity has only scratched the surface of the universe's secrets. The existence of one alien hunter raises countless questions. How many other species exist? How long have they been watching Earth? And will they return? These questions remain unanswered, waiting for the future. Outside the story itself, Predator 1987 leaves an unforgettable mark on action and science fiction cinema. Audiences around the world are captivated by its unique combination of suspense, horror, and explosive action. The film transforms Arnold Schwarzenegger into an even greater global superstar and introduces one of the most iconic creatures in movie history. What begins as a military action film slowly evolves into a terrifying survival story, surprising viewers with its originality. The Predator itself becomes one of the most recognizable monsters ever created, joining the ranks of legendary cinematic creatures. Decades after its release, fans continue discussing its unforgettable moments, powerful atmosphere, and intense battle between man and monster. New generations discover the film and appreciate the brilliance that made it a timeless classic. The legacy of The Predator extends far beyond a single movie. Sequels, comics, novels, and other stories continue expanding the universe, introducing new hunters and new battles. Yet for many fans, the original adventure involving Dutch and his team remains unmatched. It represents a perfect blend of action, suspense, and science fiction that few films have managed to replicate. The story of ordinary men facing an extraordinary enemy continues inspiring audiences around the world. More importantly, it reminds viewers that technology and strength alone do not guarantee victory. Sometimes intelligence, determination, and the will to survive are far more powerful. And although decades have passed since that terrifying hunt began, one truth still remains. Somewhere in the darkness beyond the stars, hunters continue searching for worthy prey. And as long as the predators exist, the hunt will never truly end. After surviving the horrifying nightmare deep within the Central American jungle, Dutch returns to civilization as a changed man. Physically, he has escaped with his life, but mentally and emotionally, the experience leaves scars that will remain with him forever. The memories of his teammates continue haunting him long after the battle ends. Hawkins, Blaine, Mac, Billy, Poncho, and Dylan were more than soldiers to him. They were brothers who trusted each other with their lives, and losing them one by one is something Dutch can never forget. Every time he closes his eyes, memories of the jungle come rushing back. He remembers the laughter during the helicopter ride, the confidence they all shared, and how quickly everything changed when they encountered something beyond human understanding. Although he defeated the creature, victory brings him no happiness because the price was simply too high. The mission that began as another assignment ended up becoming the most terrifying experience of his life, and the burden of being the sole survivor stays with him forever. As time passes, life around him slowly returns to normal, but Dutch himself is no longer the same man. Friends and colleagues notice the changes in his personality. The fearless leader who once approached every challenge with confidence now carries a quiet sadness. He speaks less, spends more time alone, and often finds himself thinking about the men who never came home. While the world continues moving forward, Dutch remains trapped between two realities. One is the ordinary life everyone else sees, and the other is the memory of a nightmare that nobody believes actually happened. Without evidence, his incredible story sounds impossible. People dismiss his words, believing that trauma and grief have affected his mind. Yet Dutch does not waste his energy trying to convince anyone. Deep inside, he knows the truth. He knows that somewhere in the universe, creatures like the Predator exist. He knows that humanity is not alone, and perhaps one day the world will discover that truth for itself. Meanwhile, in remote villages near the jungle, the old legends continue spreading from one generation to the next. The elders tell stories about the demon hunter that visits during certain seasons, stalking warriors and collecting trophies from its victims. For centuries, such tales had been dismissed as myths, but Anna's survival gives new life to those ancient warnings. She shares her experiences with her people, and they understand that the stories of their ancestors were based on reality. The jungle itself slowly heals from the destruction caused during the final battle. Trees grow once again, animals return, and nature hides the scars left behind. To ordinary travelers, the forest appears peaceful and beautiful, yet hidden beneath that beauty are memories written in blood. Those who know the truth respect the jungle and understand that some places contain mysteries far older and darker than humanity itself. Far away among the stars, the predator species continues its ancient traditions. For them, hunting is not merely entertainment but an honorable ritual passed down through generations. The warrior that fought Dutch is remembered with respect because it died in battle against a worthy enemy. Among its kind, glory matters more than survival. Defeat is not shameful if it comes while facing a courageous opponent. In an unexpected way, Dutch himself earns a place in their history. His intelligence, determination, and refusal to surrender allow him to accomplish something few creatures in the galaxy have achieved. Unknown to humanity, his name becomes associated with one of the greatest hunts in predator history. Yet the universe is vast, and countless other hunters continue traveling from world to world, searching for challenges and worthy trophies. The story that began in the jungle was only one chapter in a much larger and older legacy. What makes Predator 1987 truly special is the way it combines multiple genres into one unforgettable experience. At first, the film appears to be a straightforward military action story filled with powerful soldiers and explosive battles. But as the plot progresses, it gradually transforms into a suspenseful science fiction horror film where the hunters become the hunted. This unexpected shift keeps viewers engaged and creates tension that continues building until the final confrontation. The movie also presents an important message. Strength and advanced weapons do not always guarantee victory. Throughout the story, Dutch and his men possess enough firepower to defeat entire armies, yet none of it matters against an enemy they do not understand. In the end, it is intelligence, patience, and adaptability that allow Dutch to survive. By returning to simple methods and using the environment around him, he proves that human ingenuity can overcome even the most terrifying threats. The film's unforgettable atmosphere, powerful performances, and iconic creature design help establish it as one of the greatest science fiction action movies ever made. Arnold Schwarzenegger delivers one of the most memorable performances of his career, portraying a hero who relies not only on physical strength but also on intelligence and determination. The Predator itself becomes one of the most legendary creatures in cinematic history, recognized by audiences around the world. Decades after its release, fans still celebrate the film for its suspense, action, and unforgettable moments. New generations continue discovering the movie, proving that true classics never fade with time. Its influence can be seen across countless films, video games, comics, and television series, making it one of the most important franchises in modern science fiction. Perhaps the greatest reason for the movie's lasting popularity is the mystery surrounding the Predator itself. Even after the credits roll, many questions remain unanswered. How many predators exist? How long have they been visiting Earth? What other species have they encountered during their hunts? These mysteries fuel the imagination and keep audiences fascinated even decades later. Sometimes the unknown is far more frightening than what we fully understand, and that sense of mystery is one of the reasons why the film remains so effective. And so, as the story finally comes to an end, one thought remains impossible to ignore. Somewhere beyond the stars, hidden in the endless darkness of space, warriors continue searching for glory. And perhaps one day another hunter will once again set its sights on Earth.